and the progression is really amazing, as you mentioned. So you can make turns when you're standing still. You can do types anything, and it makes a lot of things, in my opinion, much easier.
You can like literally start, almost skimboarding like on top of
Yeah,
the water.
yeah, and it's possible. It's no problem. I
Yeah,
know how it goes. You just
yeah,
pop out of the water and get some power into the kite. You have to be a little bit quicker, but
yeah.
then you can surf. It's amazing. And you can turn the mono wing under your sliding.
Wow. Yeah,
So
it
you
makes
can,
sense because it's
yeah,
convex, it's not
yeah.
concave, right?
And you're
So
on the water and turning it, it's really amazing. So it makes so much fun. And
yeah,
yeah, people will start to know this thing,
yeah,
definitely, and they will love it.
awesome. Hey there, Triton Riders. Rudyard Griffiths here, co-founder of Triton Foils. My colleague Chris Meisner. Welcome to this one of our regular rider interviews. We're kind of connecting with people around the world who are getting out on the Triton T1 mono wing to find out what they think about riding this wing. We want to hear the good, the bad, the ugly, the whole story. Willy is a rider from Germany who's been a real help to us here at Triton, just understanding the performance envelope of this wing. Willy, I don't want you to be too modest. You're a pretty good kiter, but I got to know, for our benefit of our audience, a little bit about your background. Where do you ride? How do you like to ride? And then let's get into some of the gear choices that you're making.
So I'm kiting since I think 2012. Usually I'm riding here in Bavaria, around Munich. Beautiful lakes, but not that good wind. So we started foiling, my guys and me, in 2014. So really very early foilers here around. And therefore we could catch, it's possible to go kiting around about 200 days a year if you
Wow.
have the time. So that's possible. Usually I'm riding lots of freestyle, straps and sometimes strapless, playing around, jumping a little bit, but not big air or stuff like that with the foils, because I don't like if the foil crashes with me. It sometimes hurts a little bit. So just playing around, back rolls, front rolls, grabs and stuff like that.
Awesome.
My gear is very different. I have foil kites, tube kites. Uh, I change my gear very often because we are searching for the lowest wind at the
Yeah.
moment. So we reach round about when it is 6 to 8 knots, we start or we go out for kiting. So that's enough
Yeah.
for us, and that works.
That's fascinating because we're hearing a lot from riders who are enjoying the T1 that they're kind of freestyle riders. So I think it really meets a kind of just the rider profile, the T1 Triton, for people who like to just tack, jibe, toe side tacks, heel side tacks. I don't know about you, Willy, but I found it really allowed me to progress a lot faster than I thought because of that turning ability. When you don't have the
Yeah,
fuselage and that rear stabilizer, this thing, whoa, it just spins on a dime.
definitely. So it's amazing. I usually have I'm building my boards for myself in my garage, uh, or if how my wife is calling it, board shaping room. Uh, and I have an Moses foil at the moment, or I still have it, but I don't use it anymore, honestly, since I have the T1. And the things you described, yeah, definitely, it's so amazing. You can make turns. I told Chris as well. You can foil and then, like, you're standing still and you can make chipes and gibes and tricks. So it's really crazy. And I have an 633 front wing and then 679 front wing, but I don't need anything more. I had 4 different stabilizers. I don't need it anymore. I'm
Yeah,
just right, and the progression is really amazing. as you mentioned. So you can make turns when you're standing still. You can do types anything, and it makes a lot of things, in my opinion, much easier because of you can change the position a lot of faster.
Yeah. And just to be clear, Willy, we don't have a financial relationship. You're not getting paid for this interview.
Maybe unfortunately not.
Unfortunately not. Not that the Canadian dollar is so great these days anyway, you might not want it. But that's just to say that, I'm hearing too that a lot of people, for instance, sometimes draw parallels between the 633 and the T1, because the T1 is pretty big at 1,700 square centimeters, but again, there's no rear stabilizer. It rides like a smaller wing in that 1,200 to 1,100 range. Yeah. And I think a bit like maybe you've had this experience with the 633 and the T1 together. They're both really good at low wind, but the T1 surprisingly gives you a lot more speed on the higher end than, let's say, the 633. At least that was my case. Is that what you're finding too?
Yeah, definitely. And I usually was riding now this 679, so it's a little bit smaller, but it has nearly the same width. But the T1 has nearly the same top speed, especially with the new mast I got from you. So I ordered a slingshot phantasm mast, especially for the T1, and I was slower than with my 679, and when I got your mast, the T1 or the Triton mast, now I can reach the same top speed like with my 679. So it's from the very low end, as you mentioned, and not just the low end. You can ride in very slow speed, so that's completely different. Like time is standing still, and it feels like that. And on the other hand, you can go very quick. I don't like to race, so I'm not the racer. It's okay if you want that. You can have a very small wing, but in Bavaria it doesn't make sense in my opinion, because we have from 6 knots to 15 knots at one session, everything, and sometimes 20 knots if you have a little more wind for 5 minutes. So a race wing doesn't make sense in my opinion. And with the T1 I can have the very low end. So I go out with the 6 knots, and I was going out with my 679 with a big rear wing. And when I had more wind, I changed to the smaller stabilizer. And now I don't need it anymore because I just have the T1. And it works.
There's a lot of interesting parallels, I think, because we're here. The T1 comes out of Canada. I'm doing this call with you from Toronto. We're on the Great Lakes, and same thing. We often go out, and you get this huge wind range where it starts out light, it builds, it dies, it builds again. It's because of weather fronts and thermals, and it's really just lake riding. It's very it's very confusing. But what's nice about the T1 is that you can adapt to all those different conditions. Sometimes you don't even have to really change your kite, because the wing can kind of cope with the low power input at light wind, and then it's actually pretty forgiving at higher speeds. I've clocked it on my Garmin maybe at the low end about 8 knots in terms of speed of the wing through the water and me on the foil, and on the high end around 24 knots.
I can go faster and a lot more stable, and I have a lot lower angle to the water now. It's now possible. So
interesting. So let's say you're one of the very first riders that has been on our new now kind of complete foil, which is the wing plus the mast plus base plate plus a lot of hardware to create a really what we hope is a bomb-proof kind of mast to wing connection. So you're seeing some advantages in speed. Is the connection hope the connection's feeling better for you, because Chris and the team has tried to design a key that goes into the wing out of the mast along with some custom washers?
So it feels a lot more direct and stable, but beginning from the board. So the connection directly to the mono wing, it feels directer. If it's because of the different mast, because the profile isn't that long, so also in the turns you're a lot more faster, from my feeling.
Yeah, no,
So
it
I
makes
can turn
sense.
more tighter angles, and that's really cool.
Yeah, and these
it
come
feels
in,
really stiff. So in my opinion, it's enough for the stiffness. You don't need more. It's extremely direct, and also if you have small waves that you want to ride, it's really cool. You can make like you're surfing on a surfboard.
yeah, you
So
can almost kind of ride the line of the wave.
yeah, it's really cool, and without any drag. So that's the most important, amazing thing. So I changed for one time when I got the T1. I wanted to try again my foil because I liked it very much, and I said, yeah, perhaps I'm too. Yeah, I think it's too good, but in reality it isn't. So I changed to my foil again for some sessions, and it felt really weird because it felt like, yeah, if you ride a very agile car and then you're going with a big truck. So that was a little bit the difference for me.
Yeah, some people have described it like, sandpaper.
Definitely. And everybody I give the mono wing who's trying it uh, describes the same feeling.
Yeah,
So they're going out and they come back and say it's weird. It's just silent, and you don't feel any drag, or it's just so smooth. So everybody likes it.
Well, let's talk about some of the things, maybe, Willie, that aren't your favorites or you think could be improved. Some people say, it's a big wing, it's got a lot of carbon and foam wrapped together, so it floats, right?
Yeah.
Some people have said they don't like that. For me, sometimes if I'm underpowered on my kite, it means body dragging back up to the foil after I've had a spectacular wipeout. I'm just wondering if you've got
I know what you mean.
any honest feedback for us on parts of it that maybe wouldn't be for everybody.
Yeah, but I think if you make the decision to go with a foil and then you go with a mono wing, I hope the people are able to drag a little bit. So
Yeah.
I in every session I lose my foil and my board in every session because I'm playing around a lot of, and with the gusty winds, sometimes you lose it, you crash. It's kiting, and I never had problems. Also, if the board is very far away, so for me it was never a problem. Yeah, it doesn't float as quick as a normal foil if it goes underwater and if you have a heavy one, but it stays on the side, and it turns a little bit, and so it's no problem, and nothing compared to a twin tip what you are searching sometimes minutes and hours. So yeah. It doesn't go downwind as quickly as a normal foil, but for me it's no problem. And if you have a problem with that, if that's your only problem, perhaps it is something for you as well, because that's a minor problem.
Practice your body dragging, and I always consider it like part of the workout, right? You get swimming a few lengths of the pool to get back to your board.
I don't know. I got the mono wing in February, March. I don't know, before my winter holiday, definitely. And I was also kiting in 0 degrees. So and it was also no problem.
Yeah, no.
And I didn't recognize it. Now you mentioned it, yes. If I think about it, that could be a problem for some people, but in my opinion, it's no problem.
Yeah, well, just full disclosure, be prepared to body drag. It's like going back to those early days when you were just learning. So, Willie, you've been super generous with your time. Just to wrap up, any kind of key takeaways?
I know what you mean. In my opinion, it just has advantages. The major thing for me, so it looks like in spaceship, honestly. Also, when I unpacked it, when I mounted it on my board, I said, I don't think it works. So that was the first impression, because it doesn't look. It has no sharp edges. It has a crazy shape. I like it, but it's crazy. And also at the beach, everybody said, it looks weird. And everybody said we don't know if it works. So you have to give it a try, and you will. I think you will love it. Everybody who rides the thing is impressed by its capabilities, and Yeah, perhaps I should borrow some people my mono wing a little bit longer, that they also can make a decision to buy it. But
Yeah.
I want to ride.
You want to ride it? It's yours, and you're an early adopter, which is
Yeah, I
awesome.
lend it to anybody who wants to try it. It's okay, and
Yeah.
it's you have less packing. It's very easy to go into a car with it, and for me, it's compared to a not to a normal bicycle and a one wheel bicycle. It's more like you have an standard. I don't know, BMW M3 Series, and then you're driving an M3, for example. I work for BMW, yeah, but
Nice.
but for me, it's the comparison. It's more sporty. It's faster, but you have a bigger range.
Yeah, more performance.
In the past, you needed a Porsche or Ferrari to go very quick. Nowadays, you can have a sedan to drive very fast, and you have a daily car, and you can pack kids inside it. And for me, it's more like that. It's the better foil, in my opinion.
Thanks. Well, thank you, Willy. This is really, just a shot in the arm for the team here at Triton Foils. We appreciate your stories, those of the other riders we're interviewing for this series. Final question, you got any wind in your forecast?
Yeah, yes, of course. Nearly every day at the moment.
Okay, well, send some my way, because I got to get a session in or I'm going to lose it. Willy, thank you so much coming on Triton Foils Television from Germany to talk about his experiences riding the T1. Viewers, you too can get your hands on a T1. We've got hundreds of these wings now around the world, beaches all the way from Kuala Lumpur to, you just heard it, Bavaria, to points in between. Send us an email to Triton Foils. Go to our website, use our contact form. Maybe we can connect you with a local rider who can give you a demo of their T1. Willy, be well, be safe. We'll talk again soon.
Thanks. Bye.